All right, I do want to let you know a little bit more about Vladimir Putin, at least what he's thinking, or maybe he's playing a cat and mouse game here. One of the sort of preconditions he seemed to be throwing out there for this to all go away is for Ukraine to do some things, including, he says, end its NATO membership ambitions. I'm so glad we have Rose Gottemoeller with us, the former Deputy Secretary General of NATO, what she makes of all of that. Secretary, what Putin seems to be saying is never mind that Ukraine is not a NATO member. Of course, it's wanted to be. But one of the preconditions, and I'm interpreting it that way, Secretary, is that he is throwing out there, end that talk and start demilitarizing. What do you make of that?
Yeah, Neil. And by the way, Putin must be loving these oil and gas prices going up. That's what the economy in Russia stands on. So this is great as far as he's concerned. But one thing I will say is he has, I think, tightened up his conditions on Ukraine now. A couple of weeks ago, when he met with the Hungarian prime minister, he said, well, maybe we could go with some kind of moratorium, like not now, but not never. And then there was talk about, well, maybe it would be for 10 years or 20 years, you know, that kind of trying to shape some solution that would work possibly for Ukraine as well as Russia. He's really up the ante now. And essentially what he's saying is Ukraine must become not only a neutral state, but a demilitarized state. And it's very capable armed forces. The Ukrainian military has become quite capable in recent years, due in part to its partnership with NATO. So what he's saying now is they need to demilitarize too. And for me, that is really upping the ante.
You know, I'm so glad to have you here, Rose, because you can interpret government leaders speak far better than I and read between the lines. So when you hear Vladimir Putin saying, I did not say our troops will go there immediately, the knee-jerk reaction you'd have to that is he did not send in troops. Or he's saying, you know, this troop buildup that I had going on for many months, we did not send troops in there immediately, and he's right. So which is right? What if he's not in there? His troops haven't gone to these two breakaway regions. How do you interpret that?
Vladimir Putin really loves to stir the pot and make things as murky as possible. Last night, we were hearing that Russia had already sent peacekeeping troops in. It was on that basis that, and he signed an agreement this morning with both the Donetsk and Luhansk leaders saying that they need that kind of security support, their friendship, so-called friendship agreements, that he will now be providing security support. So he's put in place his fig leaf of a legal measure to provide those peacekeeping, what he calls peacekeeping troops. But this morning I'm reading that what is happening is that the tanks that we see going in are unmarked. They're not marked clearly as Russian army vehicles. And that is exactly what has been happening in Donetsk and Luhansk over the past 8 years since the invasion of Crimea. They have been destabilizing the Donbass, but doing so with some plausible deniability. The equipment there, the weapon systems, the uniforms, nothing is attributable to the Russian armed forces, although we know where the support is coming from. So I fear that that's a bit of what's going on now. He's trying to muddy the waters in this way.
Got it. Rose Gottemoeller, thank you very, very much. And again, we are trying to get a good sense of exactly what Vladimir Putin is saying.